Your gentle dog, the one who has never shown a single sign of aggression in their entire life, just bit you. In a split second, their eyes glazed over, their body went stiff, and the unthinkable happened. Now you're left with a bleeding hand, a broken heart, and a terrifying question. Is my dog dangerous? Did I ever really know them? Most people will tell you the dog is unpredictable and needs to be punished. But behavioral neuroscience tells a completely different story. Today on Bonded Tales, we are diving into the survival biology of the canine brain to understand why a gentle dog suddenly bites. We are exploring the phenomenon of a blown neurological fuse, the hidden reality of ancestral instincts, and the physiological triggers that turn a loving companion into a wild predator in less than a second. By the end of this documentary, you will realize a sudden bite is almost never a choice. It is a complete hijacking of their nervous system. The first and most common reason for a sudden bite is the biological imperative of hidden pain. We often forget that dogs are descendants of wild wolves. In the brutal reality of the natural world, showing pain is a death sentence. It makes you a target. Because of this evolutionary pressure, dogs are masters at masking physical suffering. Veterinary researchers have found that dogs will hide signs of chronic pain, like joint inflammation, dental rot, or internal illness, until the very last possible moment. When you accidentally touch that silent, throbbing spot, they don't feel a loving pet. They feel a direct physical assault. In that microsecond, the prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain that recognizes you as their friend, is completely bypassed. Their amygdala, the ancient center of fear and survival, takes over. They aren't biting you, they are biting the pain. This is why a sudden change in behavior, like sleeping in a new spot or stopping their usual routines, is often the only warning you'll get before a neurological breaking point. The second critical factor is the stress ladder and ignored calming signals. A dog almost never bites without a conversation happening first. But as humans, we are often biologically deaf to the language they are speaking. Before a dog snaps, they offer a series of urgent pleas for space. Behaviorists call these calming signals. A massive yawn when they aren't tired, repeatedly licking their nose, pinning their ears back or turning their head away to avoid eye contact. In the canine world, these mean, my nervous system is hitting its limit. But when we ignore these signals, when we continue to hug them or invade their space, we remove every peaceful tool they have. They feel trapped. This leads to panic biting. It is a physiological explosion where the overwhelmed brain defaults to its last remaining weapon to create distance. This brings us to the devastating reality of adrenaline overload and the 7-minute panic response. When a dog experiences intense stress, their survival system goes into overdrive. Research shows that in moments of high anxiety, a dog's heart rate stays elevated long after the trigger has stopped. Their body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. They cannot simply think their way out of it. If you try to interact with a dog during this chemical storm, you are walking into a minefield. Their brain experiences a total system crash. It is neurologically overloaded. Any sudden movement or sound can trigger an explosive reaction. This isn't a lack of training. It's a temporary biological malfunction where the modern, domesticated dog is replaced by the ancient, terrified survivor. Furthermore, we must confront the hidden danger of learned helplessness. This is perhaps the most misunderstood state in all of canine psychology. You might have a dog that is famously chill, the one who sits quietly while kids pull their ears. You assume they are perfectly calm because they aren't growling. But often, that dog is in a state of learned helplessness. Their brain has defaulted to passivity because experience taught them their actions don't change the outcome. On the outside, they look stable. On the inside, their stress response is running at maximum capacity, accumulating months of hormonal tension. Eventually, the system burns out. The fuse blows. This results in a sudden, violent snap from a dog that never showed signs. The truth is, they were showing signs for years through their silence, but we mistook their shutdown for serenity. Finally, we must look at the incredible power of cortisol synchronization. Your dog's nervous system is not an island. It is biologically tethered to yours. Studies confirm an absolute synchronization between the long-term stress levels of owners and their dogs. If you live in a state of chronic anger, anxiety, or burnout, your dog absorbs those stress hormones every single day. When a dog's baseline stress is already at 90% from their environment, it only takes a tiny 10% trigger to push them over the edge. You are a living broadcast to your dog. If your broadcast is one of tension, you are unknowingly narrowing the window of their patience. A sudden bite is the tragic sound of a bond breaking under the weight of too much accumulated stress. Understanding this doesn't mean you should fear your dog. It means you must respect their biology. You are their safe place. The greatest gift you can give them is recognizing when their fuse is getting hot. If this documentary helped you understand the deep, unspoken reality of canine behavior, please subscribe to Bonded Tales. And tell us in the comments, have you ever seen your dog use a calming signal that you almost missed? Thank you for listening to their unspoken pain.